All right. One of my very, very favorite parts of the incredible network marketing industry is the collaboration, the new people that you get to meet. And when you really put it in perspective, it's a $200 billion plus profession. I mean, that's bigger than the NFL, NBA, NHL, Major League Soccer here in the US. It's bigger than all of them combined. And I think a lot of times we need that type of context because we forget. And so these two leaders, it's like we've known each other or of each other, but we haven't known each other ever. We never had conversations or anything like that until recently. And we just got on and just chatted about different things. And from there, it was fun just to get to know their style, which goes along perfectly with the very first book that I took, 8 years to write, The Game of Networking. And it was like, I was like, oh my goodness, this is what I spent 8 years trying to write. And this is what these ladies have done for over a decade to crush their business. So before we go into the content, which we're going to teach you how not to be the spammy Pammy, right? You don't want to be the Spamela Pamela, how to actually create like real connections, but also be bold. And they've got a formula for doing that. Before we do that, we're just going to do a quick rapid fire with Lisa and Amanda. And this is a quick way to get to know you ladies as I'm going through your bios and all the incredible content you have. How long have you ladies been in the incredible network marketing profession?
So I have been with Amanda actually in the network marketing profession since 2012.
Yeah. So I'm almost about to hit my 10-year anniversary.
That's fun. Mm-hmm. And how long did it take to reach that 7-figure level?
It took about 5 years for me.
I'd say a little bit longer for me, maybe 6 or 7 years.
And when you put it, I think sometimes people compare in a negative way. And I used to say, don't compare. And now I say, you know what? In some ways, everything's a comparison. So if you're going to compare, use it as a way to inspire, motivate, and learn. And, you put in perspective, most traditional businesses, not ripping on them, they're absolutely phenomenal. Love the entrepreneurial everything world. Mm-hmm. But they take 3 years to turn some sort of a profit.
Yeah.
And you look at in this profession, it's like people hear these incredible stories, like your lady's story, right, or my story, and they're like, yeah, but I've been in for 2 years and I'm only making $500 a month. Well, you put it in perspective, right? That's a lot. Go invest in real estate, buy a $300,000 property, and you got to put $60,000 down, 20% down, and you hope to cash flow $500 a month. So I just love to put everything in perspective. And then one last question with that. What would you say, and each one of you may say something really quickly, just different. What would you say is the hardest part about network marketing?
Patience.
People in your audience are actually going to love this recording, this episode, because we are all about the longevity. It was not quick for us, and we're both super honest and vulnerable about our journeys. We're all about the long game. So stick with it. You're going to get to where you want to go. It took us a very long time to get to where we want to go. And it's just all the markets around us are always changing. So it's constantly like figuring out, okay, how do I maneuver the newest technology, the newest situation or challenge to continue to climb or continue to get back to where I was before. So you guys are going to love this. It wasn't a perfect journey.
Well, it's always good to hear because true wealth is ability. It's not what you have in the bank. And as you start to create that skill set and ability, it really is a formula. Now, the principles are the same. They're timeless. The techniques are adapted a little bit different to each person's style, personality, maybe company. The example I like to use is don't confuse principles with techniques. The principle is third-party validations always work. They always will work. But the technique could be, I want to do 3-way calls, or I want to do 3-way group chats with voice messages, or I want to do Zooms, or mine's in person. So that's the technique. And so we never want to confuse principles and techniques. That's how we can really just gain that ability to learn how to learn, which I believe is the greatest ability one can have. So you ladies, as you went throughout your journey, I know you pride yourselves on just being like a real person and not being that, as I like to joke around and call it, that spammy pammy, which, you know, I know a lot of us, and some of you have been that person, maybe that person you listen, that's okay. I applaud you for taking massive action. That's the most important thing. And then from that, then we'll get more clear on the direction. And so you've created a formula called the Master Connection Formula. And I know this was through a lot of just trial and error of what worked, what didn't work. So you learn, no, don't do that. So first, let's just start out from the very basics. What is it?
Yes, thanks for asking. I mean, first of all, I was totally a spammy pammy in the very beginning, and Lisa will probably say the same thing. We've all done it. We've all been there. But what happened was over time, as we started to work our business and lean into what felt really authentic and unique to us, was being like a master connector. So essentially what it is it's tapping into your own uniqueness, figuring out what makes you you, which is really hard for some people to figure out right away, right? Like if I stopped and asked anybody on the street, what makes you unique? They might have to think about that, but we have a formula to help you figure out what makes you unique and how to lean into that uniqueness to create your personal brand. So the Master Connection Formula is all about branding yourself, not being a poster board for your company, which is what many people start to do, is they're just kind of, you know, sharing similar assets, saying the same things like a machine. We don't teach sales, we teach marketing through the Master Connection Formula. And everything we do talks about leaning into your uniqueness, figuring out what your personal brand is, and using that brand to attract your perfect prospects by speaking to your perfect prospects' pain points, struggles, and dreams. So within the process of figuring out what your uniqueness is, you're also figuring out who it is you want to serve best and most, and how you can speak to them in a way that makes them take action. So that's what the Master Connection Formula essentially is.
Love it. And I know there's so many different strengths and weaknesses, and Lisa, you can add to that here as well, onto this question, as well as answer, you know, if you have anything else to add. But what are we're going to go into the strengths here in a second and how to do it. What are some of the wrong ways to do attraction marketing that maybe people have the wrong perception of what it is, and of course are missing steps? Because I have several things that are coming to my mind, and the greatest part about these interviews is I always feel like I'm the one that's learning the most, because I'm taking notes and I'm listening and I'm absorbing. I'm always trying to absorb at least one or two things that I can implement and communicate. So I'll give you ladies credit the first couple of times, and then if I forget, you can just message me and say, Rob, we're the ones that taught you that. I say it on a training. I'm like, I'm sorry, I forget so much information from so many different amazing human beings. But Lisa, I'll let you answer that.
All right. Well, you know, I realized very quickly that the quality of our relationships would really determine the quality of my business. So I was very intentional about developing relationships so people wouldn't be saying to like, oh, you were always trying to sell me something. So I knew that it was going to be a long game. And listen, within 6 months of my business, I think I probably made $34. So let's talk about patience here. But I always wanted to make sure that I felt that other people felt like I wasn't just trying to sell them, and I cared about them. So I wanted to understand what they were struggling with. I wanted to understand what hopes and dreams they had. And I knew that things were going to be changing all the time. So I always wanted to be top of mind for somebody. And you did that through just being a relationship person. So people are going to understand like that's a powerful thing when the time comes that they either want your product or they want to join you in business. They're going to think of you. And many network marketers who build really, really fast, it's just because they're kind of like running through and rolling through their contacts, and they're not getting to know the actual people on a deep, deep level. And then they are one and done product users, or they join the business and they don't do anything. But when you truly get to know the person that you're prospecting, or you're building a relationship, they stick around. And that's why, you know, I'm still have a very unique, dynamic business in network marketing. I'm still at the top of my game, but I'm building another business that's helping other network marketers build a longevity residual business.
That's 100% my style. And I'm going to give some thoughts on it here in a second. Before I do, a lot of people misinterpret these types of conversations and they say, but Rob, and I'm not going to answer because they would rather hear from you ladies than me. I hate fake chit chat. That's just not my style. Right. So I'm going to let you ladies answer that question.
I'm actually going to give you a perfect example of somebody who said the same thing to us. We were teaching a course and we had somebody with a really sweet woman, but a very thick skin, real, just like a harder shell.
She was a true New Yorker.
Straight up Brooklyn girl. She said to us, Lisa and Amanda, I love what you teach, but I hate fluff talk. I hate chit chat, just like you just said, Rob. And it's not the first time that we've dealt with this, but it was one of those cases that popped immediately into my mind. And what ended up happening was so interesting because the course she took with us was actually, we broke down the master connection formula and we talked about how she could define that perfect person that she wants to serve. And we said, this doesn't just happen online. This is when you know who your ideal avatar is, which is a marketing 101, but we are never taught that in our network marketing companies. We're only taught really sales. When you know who your perfect avatar is, your dream prospect, you can go into a crowded room. You could go on an airplane. You can go to a basketball game. You can go to a party. You can go to church or temple, whatever you do for your religious reasons, and pick your perfect prospect out because you know who they are. So what we ended up doing was she figured out who this person is that she wants to serve most with her business, team up within her business opportunity and serve most with her products. And she said to us, she came back and she said, you know what? I actually don't mind it. I don't feel like I'm chit-chatting because these are people I chose because they're more like me. Before I was just talking to anybody with a heartbeat and it was boring and useless. And I have no interest in being friends with them. They're not my style. They're not my type. But now I'm going out and I'm making a beeline for these people and I'm finding them and I'm connecting with them and we're having these really rich conversations. So if she could do it and like it, so can you, promise.
And I want to add in what she said to us. She came back and she's like, what I'm doing is I'm learning more about them. And when you learn more about the person that you want to help and serve, you take that information and you help more people in the same way. And so it just builds upon each other. And so the connections, like Amanda said, they become richer. And it goes the same thing for social media. So if you're writing content that is for a specific person, we like to call it your avatar. If you're writing content for that specific person, it's going to resonate with this perfect prospect. And the conversations aren't going to be fake and fluffy. They are going to become authentic. And that's where patience comes in, is you got to give it time for those people who are your ideal teammates, your ideal product users, to stop their scroll when they see content that will really resonate with them. But you only create content that will really resonate with your ideal, perfect dream business partner or product user when you know yourself, when you can tap into what's unique about yourself and you can understand your personal brand and what you stand for. And that's what the Master Connection Formula is all about.
I love that. A lot of thoughts are just flooding. And, one of the things that I still do and did when I started is I created a goal of reaching out to 350 people, non-business related. And a lot of people are like, that's so many. I'm like, that's like just over 10 a day. And when you start doing voice messages, you can do it in a matter of 10 minutes. What about responding? Just log out and decide when you're going to respond and go back in, and it will take you another 10 minutes to respond. And people are like, well, I don't know what to say. Honestly, I just go look at their profile. Maybe it was their birthday. Maybe it was anniversary. Maybe it was someone who's a brand new friend, right? Maybe they just made a post that they just went to Hawaii or somewhere really cool. And so again, it doesn't have to be fake chit chat. I'm not reaching out and saying, hey, how's the weather there? I can go freaking look that up on Google, right? Like I can go see how the weather is there, but it's just being a good human being. And the guy that was the #1 car salesman of all time, he's in the Guinness Book of World Records. He outsold 95% of car dealerships by simply staying in touch with people. That's such a simple concept. Now, it doesn't mean that I never reached out to people. Of course, I still did separately as part of my DMO or my weekly method of operation or monthly method of operation. I still made those brand new invites to ask people to look. But yeah, if someone says no to me in the business, it wasn't I hit them up 2 years later. Hey, you interested? They say no, hit them up 2 years later. It was just simple, like just being a good human being, that those simple pings, right? Where it didn't take very long to be a good human being and genuinely interested. And guess what? A lot of those people, they've helped me out in other things.
Mm-hmm.
And they said no to my business. Like one of the guys I talk about, he's the regional rep for Mercedes. And years ago, he wasn't interested in doing my network marketing business. So I reached out to him when I was getting a Mercedes. And he's like, actually, Rob, it's the end of the year. I get 2 friends and family discount where we get it at cost. We're not using one of them. So you've always been like super nice. Why don't you just take it?
Boom.
Crazy. Be a networker first
Uh-huh.
and a network marketer second.
Mm-hmm.
And you will be amazed at the things that happen beyond just network marketing for happiness and fulfillment. So going along with that, I believe there's 7 steps, which we don't have time to go through all 7 steps, which is sad, really sad, but that's okay. We'll let everybody know where they can find your guys' formula. But maybe if you could go through a couple of those steps as at least a teaser to help provide some insight and perspective for everyone.
Absolutely. And Rob, that's so awesome that you just, brought that up, because I was going to say, holy crap, you've been using some of the steps of relational science without even knowing it.
He teed you up perfectly, Amanda.
You did. You teed it up, baby. Thank you. So one of the first ones that I want to share is called the leader lock strategy. And that's essentially what you had shared with us when you said that you did 350 just general reach outs to check in, to meet people, to grow your network. It's a little bit more defined, or the way that we define it, which is similar to what you were doing, but we call it leader lock strategy because what we want you to do is go out into your network and find other leaders. We do not care if you think they'll join you in business, if they would never use their product. We don't care. All we want you to do is lock arms with other leaders, grow a strong network of powerful people who will make you feel like opportunities are falling out of the sky. Like this guy that reached out to you, Rob, and gave you his 1 of 2 vouchers or discounts on a Mercedes. That's exactly what happens when you lock arms with leaders, and you just never know who they're going to refer to you and your business. You never know what opportunities they're going to offer you. You never know if you can we had a client who we taught the leader lock strategy. She came to us, she had nothing going on. And before we ended our 6-month contract, she was being asked to speak in front of rooms of where her avatar was hanging out. It was in the health and wellness space. She was speaking in front of rooms filled with people. She came to us with 0, and she left us and launched off speaking in front of rooms filled with her avatar. And that's the beauty of locking arms with leaders. So that's one of the strategies. Lisa, you want to share the other? Maybe we can share.
So another strategy we called is called crack the eggshell. And that is really about being vulnerable. People want to know that you're human, and they want to know that you can connect with them in another way that has nothing to do with what you sell, nothing to do with your business. And connecting with another human, it almost has like this transformative power. It just opens up conversations in a whole new way. But sometimes people, they have a guard, right? So it's important for you to almost crack the eggshell first and just be open. And maybe it's about sharing a story that you know they would resonate with. And if you can crack your eggshell first, they will be open and just like let their guard down, and they'll share stories with you. And it's amazing to bond over these connecting stories, because then you can take the relationship to a whole new level. So we love that piece of it. And another relational science method that we use is called the magic sponge. So I'm sure this has been talked about in a million ways till Sunday, but it's the old adage saying is just be a good listener, right? Be a good listener to what people are saying. it's just not about selling what you think they want. Okay. You've got a product and it's not about like, hey, I've got a product, you need it, and this is why you need it. Well, how the heck do you know if they need it? You have got to listen to what they're struggling with, what they hope they want for themselves, what is their biggest pain points in their life. Because one of the most powerful ways for people not to feel like they're alone in their own thoughts or in their own problems is for them to feel listened to. So asking questions is everything. Asking questions is super imperative. And it just gives you this opportunity to listen and soak in what they're sharing, just like a sponge.
Wow. I write down like words that I know that will just jog my memory on different things. And when we talk about crack the eggshell, I started just thinking about, all the people that I connect with the most. And, I heard many of their struggles. Now, of course, there's a difference between the person that's sharing struggles that's still in victim mentality versus the person that doesn't mean you've overcome the struggle, but sharing the direction that they're headed. And I started thinking about this for a training I did, a mastermind that I did recently as I was kind of going through some of these concepts. And I started thinking about why do the movies with Batman always crush the movies with Superman? Superman, people just can't even connect with. It's like almost just too good, too invincible. Whereas you look at Batman, it's like new Batman, completely different, and smashes the box office because, there's more vulnerabilities, right? There's more connection. I remember going to a John Maxwell event. It was this small event and people were asking questions, and he's probably said it before, but maybe it's because of my ADHD, because it was like small group. I was totally focused. And he said something to the fact of, if you want to impress people, share all of your accolades. And he said, it's not bad to do that. It's good to do it. But he said, if you really want to connect with people, share your vulnerabilities.
Absolutely.
Wow. I'm like, okay, like I got to keep trying to dive in deep and share those. And then the magic sponge of being a good listener. One of the challenges that I try to always do with any conversations is I challenge myself, did I talk more or did they talk more? And every once in a while, I got a friend, I can think of one friend in particular. He always gets me every time. Like he just asks like such good questions, and we know questions are the answers. But these are all such great concepts that successful people just do the basics better. And when you put all of these, and these are just 3 of the 7 steps, and this is just like a minute or 2 instead of going crazy in depth of specifically how you do this and how you can do that and how you can do, all of these things better, you can imagine how you can start to grow your business and truly become, and I'm not saying this in cliche way, the bold version of you, right? Because all the time, I know when I started, I was like trying to be like this mentor and that mentor, and people are like, dude, Rob, like, what are you doing? I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just trying to find myself, my voice, right? As we go. I think we've all been through that. But before I forget, where can everybody find you ladies on social media, as well as, and I'll put it in the podcast description, where can they find this incredible magic connection formula?
Yeah. So obviously there's only so much we can cover in our little conversation here. So we would love for you to find us on social media. You can find us at Girls with Goals Who Give. That's our handle on both Facebook and on Instagram. And actually it is our website as well. So girlswithgoalswhogive.com. And if you're interested in diving deeper into the topic of asking a lot of questions and learning how you could be a magic sponge, so you become that listener. So understanding what your prospects' needs are, what they're dreaming about for themselves. We do have a 25 conversation starters, so you can really unlock these profitable conversations. So we share stuff on how to start engaging with people today and get them to open up to you in a whole new way. So it's a lot of the stuff that we couldn't get here today. So you can find that on our website or in our link in our Instagram. So tap into that for sure, because that's been super, super transformational for anybody who has dove into that, into those 25 conversation starters.
Well, I love it. And I love your styles. You both have the style that I absolutely connect and resonate with. I wish I would have had this formula from day one. When I started, it would have shaved off a lot of years of trial and error and failing forward, as we say. But either way, those of you that are tuning in, I love the fact that if you are tuning in, if you're taking any sort of action, even if it's the wrong way, don't worry about being perfect. Just continually take action. And then courses like these are ways that you can be more deliberate and shave off months and years to learn from others that have had success. But I also, the thing I like the most about it is teaching people how to be truly the bold version of themselves, which can apply and does apply to everybody. So Lisa and Amanda, thank you so much for coming on. I appreciate you sharing all of your insights, perspective, and I've got to say the word secret sauce, because I think that goes well with network marketing, your secret sauce strategies. And I can't wait. We'll have to do another interview as a follow-up another time.
We would love to. Thank you so much, Rob. Thanks for listening.